Welcome back to the Marketing Properties YouTube channel, where we talk about all things from how to sell your house quickly, how to sell to a professional cash buyer, and so much more. Here you'll find videos that are instructional, useful, and really helpful when it comes to navigating the ever-changing property market. Today I'm going to be talking about properties that are deemed unmortgageable, so if you're ready, let's get to it. Be asking yourself, is there such thing as an unmortgageable property, or what kind of circumstances would need to occur for a lender to say no, we cannot lend on that property? And the first thing is when houses need a certain type of repair or they have structural issues. Amongst them are properties that have no damp proof course, a property that has wall tie failure, subsidence, or roof issues such as a lack of felting. All of these things will make a mortgage company reluctant to lend on, and in some cases they may only want to lend on special terms if the works have been carried out. So those types of situations again would make a property classed as unmortgageable. Number 2, and that is properties of non-standard construction. And what we mean by this are properties that have been system built, such as ex-local authority houses or Cornish, REMA, hollow form, and that's just to name a few. And also properties that are classed as uninhabitable. For example, if there is no kitchen or if there is no bathroom, that would make a property uninhabitable because of course everyone needs a kitchen and a bathroom for just daily living. So mortgages are just not offered on those types of situations. Number 3, and that is when a property has invasive weeds nearby or on site. So these are things like Japanese knotweed, which is such a common issue in South Wales, but also it's very, very damaging to any property because Japanese knotweed can not only have an impact on the exterior of the property and do a lot of damage to foundations and structurally, but also it can actually come into the property as well. We've seen many circumstances where the weed has started growing inside the house, through the floor, through the walls, and it is a very, very scary thing. So as you can imagine, lenders are just not prepared to offer mortgages on a house like that because likelihood is there's going to be a lot of issues with it. And also this type of weed can have a catastrophic effect on the drainage systems as well. Number 4, and that is low value property. So typically a mortgage lender is very reluctant and do not offer mortgages for a property that is valued under £50,000. Now this tends to be properties that are in undesirable areas, properties that have a lot of damage to them, properties that a buyer may have difficulty reselling in the future. They're just not interested in offering mortgages on these kind of properties. And also for the business aspect of it, there's not much opportunity for money to be made on properties that are of a low value. Number 6, when a property has missing documents or lease and title issues. So we've actually just done a video explaining all you need to know about leasehold properties and how it can affect both buyer and seller. We've also done a blog post as well going into a bit more detail. So if you're interested in that, I'll have links in the description. But these are situations where the titles are not available, circumstances that involve creeping, which means that the properties overlap between your property and the neighbours, which causes complications with entitlement and barrier issues. And it can just be a major hassle for both buyer, seller and mortgage lender as well, which is why in a lot of times mortgages are just not offered on this kind of thing. Next, we have missing documentation. Now I briefly just mentioned this, but it's very important that when selling a property, all documentation is available for the buyer and their solicitors to check over. So this is certificates regarding building work, certificates regarding title, land registry, any work that the house has had done. If you are struggling to find documentation, especially when it comes to the title of the property, you can actually ask your solicitor to arrange indemnity insurance, and this will just cover you in case anything's come to light in future and you find yourself in court. Number 9, and that is property with escalating and expensive ground rent. Now this is a common issue, especially on modern developments where the management fees are already quite high. So as the estate gets older, there are more costs that are going to be involved and the maintenance is going to become very, very expensive. Once a development or a property area gets a reputation for high service costs, it can make them far less desirable, and that again goes on to affect the saleability of the house, which makes mortgage and lending providers more reluctant. And that nicely leads me on to point 10, and that is properties that are blighted by future development plans. So this can be again anything that's in the works and up and coming, airports, schools, road, railways, anything that will affect the property, affect the saleability, is something that you have to disclose, because if this isn't mentioned, it will most likely come up at some point of the sale and it will cause it to collapse. And obviously the mortgage provider has every right to know what this property entails. They want to know all the ins and outs before a mortgage can be secured. So that is important that you get all of the documents and the information. Development can have a huge impact again on the saleability, and if this is something you've experienced and you're in South Wales and you need to get rid of your property, consider selling to a professional cash buyer like Mark King. I'll put his information and his free valuation form in the description box down below. And those are the main issues that come to light and classify a property as unmortgageable. We hope you found that useful. If you've come across this, let us know in the comments box down below. We'd be interested to hear from you. And also, again, if you want to skip all of the hassle that we've just mentioned today, then you can consider selling to a professional cash buyer like Mark King Properties. All we ask is that you check out their independent reviews, make sure they're regulated by all the regulatory bodies that they should be. But thank you so much for watching. We hope you found it useful, and we'll see you all very, very soon.